Hey guys, my name is Natalie and I am here for all of you pre-meds who are going down that YouTube rabbit hole watching all of the videos that people put up where they're like, how I studied for the MCAT, how I got a 522, how I scored in the 100th percentile. Believe me, I've gone down that rabbit hole. It is very stressful, and congratulations to all of those people who did super well, and I love that you are putting out videos and trying to help all of us struggling pre-meds, but I just want to be a little comfort for those who are either reapplying or applying for the first time. I am actually a reapplicant this year. I applied last cycle. I applied to 25 schools and I did not get in to any of them. I also had no interviews. It happens to everyone. Believe me, I've talked to a lot of people. We're not as vocal as the people who did get in or who got interviews because we don't want to put out, hey, what's up? I've been rejected. It's not great. It's not a great feeling, but it's definitely something that you have to get used to. And that's okay. It's fine. I have learned to accept it after the first couple rejections. It doesn't sting as much and you're just kind of waiting. I've actually been rejected from 24 schools right now and I am still ghosted at one. I called them and they said they were done with their interview season, and yet I still have not heard a rejection. I don't have a rejection email anywhere, so you may not actually get rejected from all of your schools. You may just get ghosted. That's okay. You know, it's just part of the cycle. I was getting rejections starting in September all the way through now, I guess. My last rejection came in April, so it was just all through. I got put on hold. I got put on interview wait lists. It was a big mess. The whole cycle is very convoluted and complicated, but that's okay. And by going through it, I actually feel like I learned a lot about the process itself. I learned what it takes and how much work it's going to be, and that definitely helps going into the next cycle because I'm kind of more prepared for what's coming. But this video is just going to be kind of a what have I done up until now, and then I'll make a bunch of videos on the application cycle itself, what I did during then, how I'm changing it, my stats, my MCAT mess, and all of that and everything, and how I am dealing with all that in relation to COVID. So we're just going to start from end of high school to now. Let's see, just the brief what have I done, and anything that you guys want me to go more in depth on, I can totally do that. So I graduated high school. I was one of those people that didn't work that hard in high school. I thought that it was very easy. It came very naturally to me. I finished up high school and thought, okay, we're all set for college. I went off to college. I am originally from Seattle, Washington, and I went to college in Minnesota. And I went off. I knew one person from my high school that was going to my college, but we weren't friends, so it wasn't like I was going with my best friend. I wandered off to the land of the cold and dreary by myself. And I was paired with a roommate who is international. She came from Bangladesh, and I was very scared because I was very introverted. I didn't know how it was going to go, how I was going to make friends. I was in a long distance relationship, and I just started out college and very quickly realized that I needed to learn how to study. I needed to learn how to absorb the amount of information that I needed to in 10 weeks because my school was on the trimester system. We took 3 to 4 classes. A total of 18 credits was normal. I usually took between 20 and 22 credits. And it was a lot of work. We tried to shove 15 weeks of material into 10 weeks, and I learned that I didn't know how to study. I didn't do so well my first trimester in college, but I think that everyone kind of has that learning curve, and that's okay. It's okay to have that learning curve as long as you kind of figure it out and eventually bring your GPA up, but I definitely had that kind of detrimental GPA hit at the beginning of college and kind of tried to dig myself out of that hole ever since. So I spent my first 2 years of college working on my graduation requirements because I did go to a liberal arts school. So I took my language requirement, which was 5 trimesters of Russian, and then I took all of my other graduation requirements during those first 2 years. And come the end of my sophomore year, I had to declare my major, and I had taken 2 midterms previous to declaring my major. I had taken one in organic chemistry and one in my second intro bio. And I was kind of teetering between biology and chemistry. I had come into college thinking I was going to be a music major because I took piano ever since I was 7, and I thought that I could be a music major in like musical composition and stand out in my applications to med school because yes, I did go into college thinking medical school. Well, as I took more music classes, it was just not something that I saw as being up my alley, and I wanted to major in something that I was passionate about and would do well in. So I had taken those 2 midterms, and I decided whichever I did better on, I was going to declare that as my major. And I ended up doing better on my organic chemistry midterm, which I am not surprised about because I absolutely loved orgo. It was by far one of my favorite classes in college, second to biochemistry. And so I did better on that exam. I declared chemistry and proceeded to finish out my pre-med requirements during my junior year and finished my chemistry degree upper level classes and thesis during my senior year. During my junior year, I had been accepted to study abroad in Russia because of my 5 classes in Russian. Usually your 6th trimester, you go to Russia. And I had been accepted, but I decided not to go. I did not see it as being useful to my pre-med journey because it was a study abroad in Russian literature, and it was something that would have stood out and I probably would have learned a lot. I didn't foresee myself doing very well academically, and I didn't want to hurt my academic standing given what it was already. I had also decided that if I did not go to the program, I would save that tuition money and I would graduate early. So that actually saved me a lot of money and saved my parents a lot of money because they did help me out a lot in college. And so I didn't go to that program. I finished out my thesis during my senior year on the metabolism of Prozac and how it interacts with the cytochrome P450 enzymes in the liver. And after I finished all of that, I graduated in March of 2019. Once I had graduated, I knew I wanted to come back to Seattle. I had done several internships at a local hospital, and I was offered a full-time position as a research assistant with one of them from the summer before my senior year. And so I started working in April of 2019. And that is when I started working on studying for my second MCAT. So I took my first MCAT in January of 2019. I studied during my winter break, which was 6 weeks long, in December 2018. And I took my first MCAT in Minnesota in January, did not do as I would have liked. And so I decided to retake the MCAT in May and submit my primaries on June 1st without an MCAT score. Yes, I had the one previous and I was comfortable applying with that one if I were to score exactly the same. It was not ideal, but it was not detrimental. So I retook the MCAT in May, and then I submitted my primaries in June, got my score at the end of June. Again, not what I would have liked. It was higher than my first one, but I will be retaking it for a 3rd time this year. Hopefully. We'll see about COVID. I continued working, and I had gotten my EMT certification in college and decided I wanted more patient contact, and I missed interacting with patients because my research job is very, very computer focused. I learned a lot through it, of course. I'm still learning a lot. I still have that job. But it is very computer heavy research, and it is a lot of EMS research with the ambulance agency in Seattle, and it is very focused on cardiac arrest and intubation pre-hospital and clinical implications and quality improvement in that area. So I wanted to kind of use my EMT certification because I hadn't used it that much in the field yet, even though I had it in November of 2016. So I got a second job with a private ambulance company in Washington. I started working for that job in August of 2019. So I was working 40 hours at my research job, and then I was working between 12 and 24-hour shifts at my EMT job on Fridays. I continued doing that as I was doing secondaries, and I got my secondaries between July and August and September. Continued working, and the waiting started. And I waited, started getting rejections. That was expected. There were a couple schools that I kind of knew I was going to get rejected from, but would absolutely love to go to, so I just kind of fling an application out there. Continued working, kept running. In my free time to keep myself sane, I run. And so I ran a lot while I was in this waiting period, because what's nice, I guess, about the interview season is that you just have to focus on your job or your volunteering or whatever it is you're doing. You don't have to write anything. You've already written your 54 pages of secondaries. You've already done all of that. Now it's just, you've done everything you can and you're just waiting. And so you kind of have that time after work instead of studying or doing something like that, unless you're still in school. It's nice to just take time after work for yourself. And so I just focused on running. I ran the Seattle Marathon in December of 2019. That was kind of my safe place, was just all of the running. And I'll do a whole video on my fitness journey, because that's definitely, it's interesting. But I ran the Seattle Marathon. My only goal was to finish. And I continued waiting. Come 2020, still getting rejections, and I am now here. I have done a lot of research. I can talk more about my research itself specifically in a different video, but I'm planning on reapplying. Technically, I can submit my primaries in 8 days. I do not plan on doing that. I plan on waiting until probably the first or second week in June to submit those, because I don't think that I will be ready. I have rewritten my personal statement from last year. I am still working on rewriting my activities, and I have filled in all of my demographic information, because thank goodness, oh my God, thank goodness for reapplicants. All of the information that you put in your primary the previous year carries over, including filling out that godforsaken transcript, because that took so long to type in every single thing and make sure it is correct, and the classes and all of that, make sure it's correct, all carries over. Thank God. So now it's just, here I am, since quarantine, still running and biking and trying to study for my third MCAT, if you cannot tell by all of the Post-its and the periodic table. My roommates love me. But I think that's it for my first video. It's gonna be okay. We'll work through this application cycle together, and I hope that seeing a video of someone who reapplies is comforting for some of you, because it is very, very common to reapply. It is very, very common to not get in. That is okay. It's okay. It's all about persistence, especially in this field, especially with how hard it is, especially during this wonderful pandemic that we have. Persistence will get anyone through anything, and I fully believe that. So I will do more videos on each little piece of my journey, but I think that that was a good overview, and if you have any questions, just let me know. I will put my Instagram in the description box below, and I look forward to more videos. Bye!